Now, on 105.9 FM and streaming worldwide on the WMAL app. O'Connor and Company.
5:07 on this Thursday morning. Hey, good morning. Thanks for joining us here on O'Connor and Company. We've got a good one in store for you as we continue to charge straight ahead to the finish line of Election Day in Virginia, as well as we're watching the clock on this government shutdown. We know how it's going to end. The Democrats know how it's going to end. They just need to suck it up and try to figure out how to save face. We'll talk about it all morning long, starting at 7:05 with Mercedes Schlapp, our friend of the program, and from CPAC. She's got an event planned for Latino voters in Virginia heading up to the election. She'll tell you all about it at 7:05. 7:35, Jonathan Fahey, former federal prosecutor, former acting ICE director. 8:05, KT McFarland on all things international. And the meeting yesterday with the head of NATO, does that mean there's an end in sight for Russia-Ukraine, or are things going to get hot and heavy? We're going to ask all those important questions, and thankfully, helping me is a serious person for once. We have way too much fun here, and Cassie Smedile, she stops all the fun. She's like, wait a second, that's not nice at all. Cassie Smedile, good morning. It's good. Well, no, but you bring dignity to the program, and I need that in my life.
Glad to be here, Larry, for whatever role I serve. Bringing dignity to the program, a serious nature, but also, I hope, a little fun, too.
No, you keep me in check, too. And we were just discussing the phenomenon of Halloween decorations in the neighborhood. There's always that one house that goes overboard and wants to terrify the children. And I mean, like, blood-curdlingly scary house. And or there's the other house that now does all the inflatables. I don't get the inflatables. It seems like a cheat, you know. And the whole front yard is just like they backed up to Walmart and said, all right, just give me all your inflatables. We'll just throw them out there somewhere. But you, as I predicted, you are not that house. You are tasteful in your Halloween presentation.
We're festive, but no, not spooky, not cheesy. We have the nice pumpkins, but I have two little kids, so I put up some fun little signs, but happy stuff. But my daughter, we have a house 2 doors down from us who has, the 10-foot skeleton and all the goblins, and it makes noise. She loves it. Hey, can we drive by the skeleton house? No, I'm terrified of that house. She loves it. I also don't know where they store everything. It only gives me anxiety looking at that house.
Well, they must have a storage container somewhere, right? Or a like one of those storage rooms. Do you ever used to watch the reality show where they would bid on the mystery storage container? And
yes, TV used to be so good, Larry. I loved that show.
I did too, but you always wondered why. It's shocking, actually, if you think about it, that they never actually ended up bidding on and winning something that was just full of Halloween decorations that only get cracked open for 3 weeks a year.
Maybe it was before its time. I wonder what they'd get now between that and Christmas decorations. Frankly, people are kind of crazy on those too.
That's true, but that's different because you're going overboard celebrating the excitement of the birth of our Lord, and here you're going overboard and excited about scaring the hell out of your neighbors and their children. And by the way, I know, even broaching the subject, I know that I am offending the people who do this, because I have no doubt they listen to this show because they're fun. I recognize that they're fun and they, embrace life and they enjoy the theatricality of the world we live in, but it's still kind of weird.
It
just is weird.
So much. And you can't walk into Home Depot without being scared out of there. It's in your face everywhere you go, starting in like July.
That's the other problem.
Too much.
The Halloween centers start. All right. Well, we'll continue to discuss as we head toward Halloween. Where are we? The 23rd. So we got 8 days until the big day. That'll be fun.
Do you have your costume picked out?
I'm okay. So I'm not 12 years old. It's funny. We were invited to a Halloween costume. I used to dress up when I was a young father. We would dress up as a family unit, but I have not actually worn anything for Halloween in quite some time. And now Meredith and I have been invited to 2 DC Halloween parties this year that are, as they would say in London, fancy dress. They are costume parties, and we would love to go and hang out with our friends, but we are not getting into costumes.
Really?
Sorry.
You just said you were fun. That truly shocks me. I really thought you guys would really embrace it.
I can't do it. I can't. I don't know. I guess I could get talked into it.
It's disappointing. Yeah.
But it would be Meredith would have to take the lead on it. Why do you go to Halloween costumes when it's nothing but adults?
Okay, I will say we are in that stage of life of doing the family costume that
Right.
the toddler
Yeah,
picks out. So that's true. But I'd like to think I would still be okay with dressing up.
When I lived in Southern California, you ever used to watch Real Housewives?
Of course.
So I lived in Orange County, California, and the Real Housewives of Orange County is a very real thing. Mm-hmm. And my ex was one of them. And
on the show?
No, but just in real life, which is even scarier. And I'm kidding. She wasn't overboard like that. But anyway, we were, we had all our parent friends, that you go to Gymboree with their toddlers and our toddlers, and we do things. And then one of them had a costume party, no kids. It's like, hey, we never get to have fun and just be adults. So come on, we're going to, and I want to say I was 39 maybe or 38 years old. And so we got a babysitter and we went to this party and we went as a pirate and his wench. I was the pirate.
Thanks for clarifying that.
And thank you. And we got there, and there is. I actually tweeted out a picture of myself at this Halloween party. I'll share it again. And we had fun, but my memory of it is it was this close to teetering on, all those really bad movies about parents with children who are trying to have some sort of like weird. What's the way to put this and keep it somewhat? You know what I'm saying? Like the party where you drop your car keys in the fishbowl on your way in.
Yes.
Yeah. It didn't get there, but in the back of my mind, it felt like it was going there. And I was like, I'm too old for this. I don't need this in my life.
You just would rather stick to daytime playground play dates.
Yes. I loved being a father of little children.
Yeah.
I did. Being a father of toddler kids, especially girls, was quite possibly the happiest time of my life. Other than, of course, obviously where I currently am in my life goes without saying. But when I'm looking back in my life, I was happiest then. Yeah.
Yeah. No, I totally pick up what you're saying. Holidays are way more fun with little kids. And now you've just clarified for everyone, just to be clear, that you are not a swinger. And I think that's important that we got that out of the way first thing this morning.
You know what? You hear these stories in D.C. about these swinger families and the people who do these things and they watch each other and they swap and they trade. And I look at it, I just get exhausted thinking about it. My God.
First of all, I agree, right? We were just saying to a friend of mine and I were just talking yesterday that anytime that we're upset with our husbands and vice versa, they're upset with us, and you're like, never mind, I'm going to forgive you because I have no interest in going back out in the dating world. I have all of this is exhausting. So
exactly.
That's true. I'll take my boring sit at home and watch TV shows over internet.
Oh, yes. That's Ed, don't even get me started on the money you have to spend on lotions and stuff. It's just not worth it. 5:15. Oh, but keeping with our theme of Halloween decorations, what happens if your neighbor gets political with their Halloween decorations? We'll get into that phenomenon here in the D.C. area in a moment. First, though, it's 5:15.
WMAL, making sense of the news. Live from the Home Paramount Pest Control Studios. Home Paramount, the leader in pest control since 1939.
Your next $1,000 could be one text away. It's $5K a day on WMAL.
Cassie Smedile here on O'Connor and Company, and we're talking about, it's Halloween season, and people are rolling out the decorations. We haven't gotten our pumpkin. We are going to get a jack-o'-lantern this year. We're having a block party on our block where we've been invited over. We're going to do like a whole – it's almost like a trunk or treat, but we're bringing our, Adirondack or our lawn chairs. We're going to sit on our neighbor's front yard. We're going to drink rosé, and all the kids will come to us. In this one stop, basically. And then you can get all your candy. Just go chair to chair, basically, is how we're doing it.
So are you inviting everybody over? It sounds like.
No, we could. And we might next year or at another holiday. But no, they're 2 doors down from us. We're going to go down. They're actually 3 doors down, which is – so we have a nice perimeter in our neighborhood where I know the politics of everyone one house away from me. And 85% of them are on board with our politics. And so it's a remarkable, actually. In this area to have that kind of ratio, and it's great. And so And those who are in the 15%, they're great. They're lovely people, and they don't pick fights, and we don't pick fights with them. And we just go. Now we're going to venture outside of that perimeter, and I'm a little nervous about it. You never know, because I've got the same neighbors that have the "hate has no home here" signs, and "in this house we believe" signs, and on the Palestinian flag and the Ukrainian flag and everything but an American flag. So I don't know. It'll be interesting. We'll see how it goes.
Yeah, see if you go to the party next year.
Right.
Or you end up
Or
going
if
to
we're
the
invited for
costume
that
party
matter.
instead.
No, this is definitely one of those things where they just went and they put a flyer on everybody's mailbox, and said, "Come on down, it'll be fun." It's like, oh, sure, you think it will. But here's what's interesting. So this is not happening in my neighborhood, but I've heard about it happening in Bethesda, Chevy Chase, Falls Church, Alexandria, the usual neighborhoods where those houses that have "hate has no home here" or "in this house" and, preaching tolerance. Or I like the houses that still have the "I'm with her" signs out there. The diehards, they're still hoping for a recount from 2016, They've now converted all of that to employing political messages in their Halloween decoration. So in other words, instead of a skeleton hanging by a noose from the tree, it's Trump, right? Or they're burning Stephen Miller in fake effigy on their frame. It's like, these people need a life.
Completely. Well, TDS syndrome is, they think that is not just a Halloween theme. That's every single day. That's
Right.
wild. I used to live in D.C. I
Sure.
moved a year ago. And that was all over Capitol Hill. It was amazing how brazen people would be with F Trump or whatever. And then they'd pass out Halloween candy. Like, I'm not sending my kid up to that house.
Right.
That I need to test that, get that candy tested before I let you consume that. But it is interesting now out in Virginia, and I'm in a very blue area, but we have our yard signs up for all the Republicans, and the houses on either side of us do as well. And I feel like have escaped into this utopia. But across the street, down the street, everywhere, it's all blue. Yes. But everybody is getting along, and it's a really, like you're talking about, it's very respectful. Yeah. Our kids are still allowed to play with each other and, and exchange toys, and everybody chit-chats and whatever. And that's how it should be. But
as you get concentrically out of the DuPont circle area of where we live, people care less and less about their neighbors' politics. And I just want to make sure you bring in the trash cans, when after the trash man comes.
You're so right. That's what can get you excommunicated from the neighborhood chat.
Yeah. And then there's this. Here, listen to how immigration and rampant, amnesty and refugee status is affecting how our Halloween decorations are going. This is a viral video of a refugee from the Middle East. She identifies herself as a Gazan who had to live in Egypt for a little while before getting refugee status by the Biden administration. She walked past a house that was all done up with the skeletons and the ghouls and all of this stuff, and decided to post this video reflecting on this American custom. Listen.
I just want to ask, is this okay? Is this like how holidays look like? This is like just across the street from my sister's. Like, is this okay? What's the fun about it? Like, what is the fun about it? What is civilized about it? What is holiday about it? You like white people, you like Westerners and West, like, I don't know what to say, everyone.
Her reaction is a little overboard, just deciding to say F white people, F the West. But I guess you could understand a foreigner coming from the Middle East walking down the street and seeing all this ghoulish, macabre decorations. Like, what the hell is happening here?
She's like, just come from Gaza. And she's like, wait. This is actually what happens to people in Gaza, and you're just putting these decorations up for fun. Yeah, you're right. She went a little too far there in the moment, but as I'm watching it, I'm like, I don't disagree with her. I bet that's super traumatizing for her.
Except for the F the West, F white people part. Yes.
But the initial shock of people putting up, skeletons being hung on the front yard and like severed limbs. I think
the Gazans elected Hamas to dig terrorist tunnels and shoot rockets and send murder and rape teams into Israel. But you have a fake skeleton in your front yard, and that's going
triggering.
too far.
Yeah, but she escaped Gaza. Like, presumably, she might be anti-Hamas. We don't know. She's anti-Hamas, white people and Westerners. And Hamas.
Guilty until proven innocent.
I don't know.
Sorry.
I'm on her side, not for the anti-white Westerner thing, but I don't like the severed limbs in front yards. So.
I do love exactly. That's supposed to be in our schoolyards. Thank you very much. It's 5:23. All right, coming up, the old thing about saying the quiet part out loud. The number 2 Democrat helping to engineer the government shutdown admitted the truth about how she views government workers who are on furlough and not getting paid. We'll let you hear it from her own mouth next.
WMAL FM, Woodbridge, Washington, a Cumulus media station. Making sense of the news. News Talk 105.9. News now. Now on 105.9 FM and streaming worldwide on the WMAL app. O'Connor and Company.
It's 5:37. Good morning. Thanks for being part of our daily conversation about everything that matters to you and things that matter to us. It's 7:05. Mercedes Schlapp on getting out the Latino vote in Virginia for Winsome Sears. 7:35. Jonathan Fahey, former federal prosecutor and former acting ICE director. And then at 8:05, KT McFarland on all things of foreign policy. It's Larry O'Connor alongside Cassie Smedile. It was a bad Henry Kissinger. It was spontaneous. I didn't plan it. I'm sorry. Let me try.
I wasn't sure who you were going for.
It was Henry Kissinger.
Anyway.
Foreign policy. There. How's that?
There
Is
you
that better?
go. Sure.
Foreign policy.
We'll ask KT what she thinks of your impersonation of him, but good morning.
How is the government shutdown affecting you at all, Cassie Smedile, as a former government employee?
Well, yes, in the sense, I'll tell you a quick story. I actually was up on the Hill yesterday and happened to have some friends in town who mentioned they had never been to D.C. And so I said, oh my gosh, come with me. We'll get you a tour or show you around a little bit. Oh. And they barely made it through the door. And I did have this thought where I felt really, this is I guess a trivial thing, but they came to D.C., had never been here, and they were able to see nothing. You've got the People's House, and they're literally shoot out the door. So just little things like that of, well, that's a missed opportunity, and that's so sad. And so that was a moment yesterday of like, this is
everyone's affected by it in greater degrees than others, and absolutely and thankfully, I think because the president has figured out a way to make sure that our military continues to get paid, at least for the last pay cycle, I think that has helped sort of counteract what the Democrats were hoping to accomplish here. But they truly are, and they finally revealed it, I think, inadvertently yesterday. Well, actually, this goes back about last Thursday, I think, was this interview, but the video has gone viral. This is Catherine Clark, the whip in the House. That's the number 2 in leadership. She sat with Chad Pegram. God, I always mess up his last name. Sorry, from Fox News Channel. Great producer and Capitol Hill reporter. And she said, as the kids like to say, the quiet part out loud about what Democrats are hoping to accomplish during the shutdown. Here's cut 2. Take a listen.
I mean, shutdowns are terrible. And of course, there will be, families that are going to suffer. We take that responsibility very seriously. But it is one of the few leverage times we have.
There you go. Your suffering is their leverage.
So
that's it.
Deal with it.
That's right. I'm sorry. The fact that there's a but there tells you everything. It's terrible and there is suffering, but
it is one of the few leverage times we have.
There you go. Sorry you're feeling pain, but hey, we need leverage right now. We need to raise money. We need to build our mailing base, our mailing list. We need to make sure that we have something to talk about going into the next election. Because, calling Trump Hitler and a fascist and all that stuff, it didn't work last time. So we need something new.
I think this is the only thing we've seen Democrats unified on in years, really. But certainly since Trump came back to the White House, they've been flailing in the wind. They don't have a real leader, unless you count AOC, and they don't have policy proposals, certainly not popular ones. And this is the only thing they seem to stand united on, and that they seem to see any movement in the polls in their direction. And so they're clinging to it, despite that, as we've talked about, Chuck Schumer, this is truly all his last-ditch effort to save his own political hind from an AOC primary. And now you've got Catherine Clark talking about it in the House. So it does negate any argument that they're trying to make, that this is just all purely selfish reasons. And your paycheck be damned. They don't care if people are.
We know you're going to suffer, and it's going to be terrible, but we don't care because we need leverage. So suck on that. And one other different phenomenon here is that Republicans have been consistent and clear on message. They have not strayed. They haven't, gone off the reservation. President Trump has stayed out of the fray, basically, and anytime asked about it, said, yeah, I think they have a point about health care. I'd love to talk to him about it. Open the government and we'll talk. It doesn't get any plainer than that and clearer than that. Speaker Johnson's 10 a.m. press conference, I think, has been highly effective. I noticed, CNN doesn't have the little countdown clock in the corner of their screen running 24/7, government shutdown day 23, because they don't have the narrative anymore. In fact, Republicans have been so smart in how they've managed the messaging and media. Yesterday, in front of the speaker's office, where the media sort of camps out every day, he had a giant television screen playing that cut on a loop over and over and over again. In case you missed it, here's what that cut says. Once again, cut 2.
But it is one of the few leveraged times we have.
There you go. Did you get to see that when you were on the Hill, or did you?
Actually, yes. That was where I saw it on Twitter, and then I did walk by there on my way out. It's
Take
so
a selfie
good.
with it.
And I should have, Larry. But Larry, to your point, because as Republican, I worked on the Hill for 10 years, and it would drive us nuts. Actually, the majority of constituents, when they would call in with a complaint, they'd say, just have a spine, just fight. Just be willing to do it. And now Trump has really given everybody the playbook for how to do it. And he's doing it with a smile and kind of tongue-in-cheek, having some fun with it, in which case it then becomes something that people are paying attention to. Yeah. And like putting the TV out, playing this on a loop is a great way to say, tell me again how this is not the Democrats' shutdown. Tell me again. Yeah. And it's funny about the state and countdown. You notice that New York Times, Washington Post, they're barely covering the shutdown. Right. They are running cover insofar as not talking about it because they know that talking about it will not serve the Democrats well.
Right. So they just ignore it in most cases. Although, here's the other interesting phenomenon. Even CNN had Catherine Clark on and pressed her on this. Now, of course, she lied about the cut that you just heard with your own ears. But here, take a listen.
White House Press Secretary Caroline Leavitt just posted a clip of an interview that you did on Fox last week. You were answering a question from Fox's Chad Pergram about blame for the shutdown. I want to look at the post here.
I mean, shutdowns are terrible. And of course, there will be, families that are going to suffer. We take that responsibility very seriously. But it is one of the few leveraged times we have.
Leavitt is looking especially at that last bit you said there, saying that Democrats, quote, are now admitting that they are intentionally causing American families to suffer with their reckless government shutdown. What's your response to that?
Well, that is right out of her playbook of half-truths, taking things out of context, and not being straight with the American people.
Yeah. Sure it is. Yeah. And by the way, I mean, not to give CNN any credit here because you heard the whole thing was set up. Caroline Leavitt says this. What do you mean, Caroline Leavitt? We have the video itself. Why do you have to assign this to Caroline Leavitt and make her the boogeyman? Just confront the politician on their own words instead of all of this setup here, trying to have Caroline Leavitt run interference for you. You see how they do that, right?
That's well pointed out, well stated. But you can't, if you're CNN, you're like, and this was like, hey, Catherine Clark's office calling and being like, hi, we're in a little bit of hot water. Can you give us a chance to correct the record? And they're like, okay, sure. Yeah. Come on in front of the camera. Sure. So I guess that they asked her about it. But it's just right out of the Democrat playbook to deny, say, who are you going to believe, me or your lying eyes? In this case, your lying ears.
Yeah. But exactly, they didn't actually ask her about what she said. If you look at the question, Caroline Leavitt claims you said this thing. What do you say to Caroline Leavitt for claiming you said this? When any normal person would say, hey, you said this. What the hell are you talking about? Right?
I mean, that's
what a normal
person.
Own
words. Right.
Has to be about Caroline Leavitt.
Mark Levin, weekdays 6 till 9 on 105.9 WMAL, making sense of the news.
Well, we have a great, as we're speaking of the media here, we have a great glimpse of the kind of high-end intellectual political analysis you get if you watch Morning Joe. Listen, we appreciate everyone listening right now. You have a choice. We know you have a choice for your morning news and political analysis. You can listen to us every morning, and we love you for doing it. Or you could be listening to Joe and Mika with some of their guests, like Al Sharpton. And yesterday they had a conversation about the Virginia governor's race, and they decided that if Abigail, by the way, the fact that they're speculating about Abigail Spanberger losing right now is a huge indication that they have problems in Virginia, that the Spanberger campaign is in trouble if they're talking about it out loud on Morning Joe. But listen to their fascinating analysis of the race should Spanberger lose. Here's cut 4.
It really is incredible when you have Abigail Spanberger, Mikey Sherrill, her background, all the different jobs that she has held in the military, and also like Alyssa Slotkin. I mean, my God, these women are incredible. And to them, I would say fight, because we need them.
Yeah.
We need them leading.
And Mikey is like, she's doing a ton of interview. You know, when I talked to that, when I was in the car, you know, it was this car, she had gone from interview to interview to talk to, but you know, you still see the anxiety.
Yeah, Cheryl did have a few missteps in her campaign, but she still has, as you say, about a 5 or 6 point lead per polling. Spanberger's leading Virginia a little bigger than that, but you know, both still competitive races here heading into the last couple of weeks. But to Mika, to Molly's point, I mean, this is something that a lot of Democrats are grappling with right now. So they've nominated women 2 of the last 3 elections for the presidency, lost both. There are some who say, well, we can't do that again. The stakes are too high. But of course, that does fall into the same misogynistic trap.
Other countries have no problem electing women.
There you go. It's misogynist if Abigail Spanberger loses. Other countries don't have problems electing women. Cassie, are they unaware that Winsome Sears is the Republican nominee here? So I guess if you take their logic, if Abigail Spanberger loses because she's a Democrat woman, that's sexism and misogyny. But if Winsome Sears wins as a Republican woman, that's sexism and misogyny. So you have to be the right kind of woman? Can you help me with this?
So they're either so stuck in their New York bubble, although at some point Mika had a place down here too, right? Doesn't she and Joe still don't live in the same place? But
no, they live in Florida. They just have a fake DC backdrop behind them when they're doing their show from their Panhandle garage. That
explains why they didn't know that 2 women are running for governor. Or they're just so committed to the Democrat talking point and so sure that their audience won't question them that they're like, yeah, we're just going to say these things. Totally unchecked, totally wrong. But it's more important to make the point that if you don't vote for Abigail Spanberger, you're clearly a misogynist and sexist. That's the point. It doesn't really matter that her opponent is also a woman.
Well, it's been their message since 2016,
right?
That if you don't vote for Hillary, it's because you're sexist. It worked with Obama, by the way. If you don't vote for Obama, it has nothing to do with the fact that he has no experience. He's a community organizer, and he's got a shady past, and he's wants to transform our country, and he's got socialist leanings, and he was brought into the business by a domestic terrorist. And no, those can't be legitimate reasons. If you don't vote for Obama, it's because you're racist. And it worked. Mm-hmm. With Hillary Clinton, it didn't work, and they're just still stuck on it, and they refuse to get off of it, even when it's 2 women in the race.
Yeah, it's all about identity politics. Although you bringing up Obama right now and describing him, and in 2008 he had this thin resume and he was brought into politics by a terrorist, and I'm going, oh my gosh, that's Mandami in New York.
Yes.
So that's a little scary.
It sure is.
Because it is all about identity politics. It is all about how many boxes do you check. And it doesn't count if you happen to be a woman,
right?
With military service, a black woman,
an immigrant woman.
An immigrant woman.
If we're really checking boxes, Winsome Sears should win this, right? If that's really what this is about.
Mika should love her. Mika should embrace her, but no, it's right. It's not about that. And they don't want you to remember that. It's just if you don't vote for the Democrat woman,
right,
then you are all these terrible things.
One other quick thing here, the praise that the conventional wisdom in Washington and in the media have heaped on Mikey Sherrill and Elise Slotkin from Michigan and Abigail Spanberger, they're all the same person. They all have the same background. They all dress the same. They all talk the same. They all have the exact same positions. And I now realize why they've propped them up and they think this is the future of our party. They're all Mika. Every single one of them are Mika Brzezinski, except they didn't make the mistake of marrying somebody like Joe Scarborough. It's 5:54.